We're gonna see. We're gonna see now.
Brother,
Brother,
this is not his last fight. I'm gonna go there. July 11. I'm gonna handle business. We're gonna have a rematch at the end of the year.
Personally, I think because it's at welterweight, I see Conor knocking him out. Like everyone's counting Conor out and thinks that Max is gonna win. If it goes to the later rounds, yeah, Max definitely probably start piecing him up on the feet because he's got that cardio and the volume. But
that's been Conor's Achilles heel. Is that Conor? He's so explosive and so fast that if you're sprinting in that first round, guaranteed you're not going to have that same kind of energy in the fifth round.
But on the opposite side of that, you got a guy like Nate Diaz, who will keep that same pace from round 1 to 5.
The rivalry between Conor McGregor and Max Holloway has suddenly taken on a completely different feel as UFC 329 moves closer. What was once simply a rematch between two former opponents is now beginning to feel personal. Every interview, every appearance, and every new piece of training footage has only added more fuel to the fire.
I was going to come back. I learned a lesson in that lapse in concentration in the camp in preparation that I have since adjusted, and you know, that's why I think I'm only warming up here in this game. I really believe I'm only warming up. You know, I used to always train a certain way, throw certain shots that the fight game has never even seen. Many shots I have in my arsenal, the fight game has never even seen.
With fans across the MMA world convinced that neither man wants this victory for rankings alone. They want to prove who has truly evolved the most since they first shared the octagon all those years ago. For McGregor, there's a point to prove. He was the fighter who defeated Holloway when both men were still climbing the ladder, and for years, that victory remained part of his incredible rise through the UFC.
July 11th, which incidentally is 3 days before Conor McGregor's 38th birthday, okay? Not an old man, but certainly not a spring chicken by any accounts, and certainly when it comes to professional fighting. Now, you could argue that he's had 5 years away from the sport, which is true. That's 5 years of not having the wear and tear. That's 5 years of not going through training camps, 5 years of not getting punched on the face, taken down, choked out, all that kind of stuff. The wear and tear, he hasn't been going through that. The man's made an absolute fortune in and outside of the cage, so he hasn't had to do that. He's been chasing business ventures and enjoying himself outside of the octagon. Fair play to him. That is the life that he's built.
Well, we know that, you know, Conor hasn't been in the game for a long time, and I think a lot of people are thinking that he's just going to lose everything, but that's not the case. He's going to be dangerous. He's obviously going to still be very sharp, very explosive, still got a good eye. Is it the exact eye that he had when he was, you know, double champ and doing what he was doing? No, probably not, but still going to be very dangerous. And I know Max is going to respect that. Obviously, they're going to want to put on a show, but at the same time, you're going to know Conor will be very dangerous early. I think Max will make the right decisions to not just, you know, get in the fire straight away, and then start to work him later in them rounds. Like, we know that Conor, again, very dangerous, very explosive, but that is going to wear on you. And with that big layoff, even though he's probably training very hard, we know that that's going to eventually wear on him. And, you know, that sharpness that I reckon he still has is probably going to deteriorate a lot quicker because of his being out of the game for so long.
But time changes everything. Holloway went on to become one of the greatest featherweights in history, while McGregor's career took a completely different path through championship success, superstardom, devastating injuries, and years away from consistent competition. Now their careers collide once again. McGregor appears to be embracing every second of the build-up. Training footage continues showing a bigger, stronger version of the Notorious, looking explosive during camp, and carrying the confidence that made him the biggest name the sport has ever produced. Supporters believe fighting closer to his natural weight has completely changed the way he looks, allowing him to train harder, recover better, and prepare without the brutal weight cuts that defined so much of his earlier career. But Max Holloway isn't interested in reputations. He's spent the last decade proving he belongs among the very best fighters in the world, earning respect through relentless performances against elite opposition. His pace, pressure, durability, and experience make him one of the most difficult challenges McGregor could have asked for in a comeback fight.
I'm gonna go towards Max Holloway, and I'm leaning towards Max Holloway.
But I don't know if, like, McGregor's going to at least have 10 pounds on him, dude. He has put on a lot of size. Is that a recipe for disaster for him if this does go into the later rounds? Yes. I'm talking about a McGregor fight in 2026. I'm breaking down a Conor McGregor fight in 2026, dude. I actually can't believe I'm saying these words. We're so back. The White House card, Strickland beats Chimaev. If only Yuri wouldn't have fumbled it. Yuri, you fool.
Which is exactly why so many fans believe this rematch could look nothing like the first. That's where the psychological battle becomes just as important as the physical one. McGregor has always been at his most dangerous when he controls the narrative before fight night. Throughout his career, he's used confidence, pressure, and self-belief to create doubt in opponents long before the cage door closes. Holloway, however, has built a reputation for remaining calm regardless of the spotlight, refusing to become distracted by outside noise, and focusing entirely on what happens once the fight begins.
Oh, I seen Max and Charles starved themselves the last time out at 155 pounds for the BMF. I didn't think there's anything BMF about it. He was the baddest man in a sauna. So, I'm a big boy now. 170 pounds is my frame. And I like it. I thought I'd give a gift.
Well, I like it as well.
And say, this is what it should be. Instead of fighting and cutting him. You know, let's do it properly.
Is this a one-off fight or are you back?
The best boxer. You say the best boxer. We're gonna see. We're gonna see now.
Brother, this is not his last fight. I'm gonna go there. July 11, I'm gonna handle business. We're gonna have a rematch at the end of the year.
Stylistically, it's one of the most intriguing matchups the UFC could make. If McGregor establishes his timing early, controls the center of the cage, and forces Holloway to hesitate before entering range, he has every opportunity to remind the world why his left hand became one of the most feared weapons in MMA history. If Holloway survives those dangerous opening exchanges, increases the pace, and drags McGregor into deeper waters, the momentum could begin shifting in his favor. Few fighters in UFC history have maintained pressure quite like Holloway, and over 5 rounds, that style has broken some of the toughest competitors the sport has ever seen. That's why predictions remain completely divided. Some believe McGregor's transformation will produce the greatest comeback of his career. Others believe Holloway has simply evolved too much over the last decade. Whatever happens, UFC 329 feels like far more than another main event. It's 2 legendary careers meeting again under completely different circumstances, with both men carrying something they didn't have the first time around. Everything to prove. When that cage door finally closes, the talking stops. The history becomes irrelevant, and only one question remains. Which version of these 2 legends has truly become the better fighter?